Hey guys, as you can see by the title of this document, the video is going to be over the inferiority complex. Now, the core idea, we create an inferiority by measuring ourselves against standards that were never ours to begin with. The way out is to stop using other people's lives as measuring sticks and start closing the gap between who you are now, the person you have decided to become. Now, the overview, as you can see, the inferiority trap, the cost of comparison, the scarcity illusion, inferiority versus superiority, your real measuring stick, escaping the complex, and the action items. Inferiority is often not created by the facts of our lives. It is created by the conclusions that we make about those facts. Now, we look at another person's money, career, confidence, audience, credentials, age, relationships, or accomplishments, and quietly decide that their position is the standard. Once we make their life the norm, we almost automatically come out second best. That comparison can stop us from taking action because we start believing we are not qualified, ready, credible, or worth enough yet. The standard was made up in our own mind, but we begin living as if it were an objective rule and not just made up in our own mind. Now, the cost of comparison. Comparison becomes dangerous when inspiration turns into self-measurement. You can admire someone, study them, learn their blueprint, and even want a similar result without expecting your journey to look like theirs. A mentor can be ahead of you without being evidence that you are behind. That is something that we have to drill into our heads. Age doesn't determine where you should be. Someone at a younger age may have came across the inferiority complex and realized how silly it actually is before someone at an older age. So we're not comparing ages or the beginning of our journey to the end of their journey. And when you constantly ask, why am I not where they are? You can psych yourself out of taking the very actions that would move you forward. The scarcity illusion. Inferiority is closely connected to scarcity. You see people already succeeding and assume there is less room for you. For example, someone who wants to teach, coach, create, or build a business may look at established experts and think the market already has enough people. That mindset ignores the value of your own perspective, experiences, communication styles, and way of teaching. An abundance mindset says that another person's success does not remove your opportunity. You can add value as well. So instead of asking whether there is enough room for you, focus on becoming excellent at your craft and giving as much genuine value as you can. Inferiority and superiority can become two sides of the same comparison habit. If you constantly feel beneath people, you may eventually try to compensate by needing to feel above people. And then nothing is enough at that point. More money, status, attention, or accomplishments become another way to prove that you measure up. Either way, someone else remains the measuring stick. The goal is not to become superior. The goal is to stop organizing your identity around comparison. Now, the real measuring stick, you want to get crystal clear on your goal achieved self. How that version of you thinks, speaks, works, carries themselves, where you spend time, the relationships, what do those look like, and how you contribute to society. Make the vision meaningful to you. Generic symbols of success are useless if they do not represent a life you actually desire. If you just say, oh, I want a mansion, a Lambo, I want designer clothes, but that means nothing to you, it's not going to move the needle. You have to be emotionally attached to that goal achieved self. Visualization helps make that future more concrete. The purpose is not for fantasy reasons, it's for you to have clarity. Your job in this world is to close the gap between your current self and your goal achieved self. Step into your potential. The better question is not how far am I from them? It is, am I becoming more like the person I have decided to become? Now, this has been an ongoing lesson in my life. When I was more socially anxious and constantly concerned with other people's opinions, meditation helped quiet those comparisons. It helped me see possibilities and abundance differently. Other people having something did not mean it was unavailable to me. But this is not a realization you have once and never revisit. Scarcity and comparison can return if you stop tending to your thinking. Your mind is like fertile soil. If you are not intentional about what you study, consume, believe, reinforce, then weeds are going to grow. If you neglect your mind and the way you think, weeds are going to grow. Protect the environment around you, people, conversations, media, any ideas that repeatedly reinforce limitation can pull you back into a life that you do not want. You do not need to stop learning from successful people. Learn from them without turning their journey into a verdict on yours. Now, here are the action items after this video. Identify your current comparisons. Who are you currently using consciously or unconsciously as a standard of how things should be? Separate fact from comparison. Write down the objective fact. Then write down the conclusion or story you created around that fact. Do not confuse the two. For example, if you are starting a training business and the fact is that you have lost 10 pounds on your journey and your PR went up 20 pounds on the bench press, whatever, write down that fact. Whatever conclusions you have from that fact, separate the two. If you think 10 pounds isn't enough to coach somebody to lose 20 pounds, write that down because you just completely made that up. You can qualify to coach other people who want to lose more weight. Maybe you're telling yourself, since you haven't gone that far yet, you can't coach somebody that far, but that's just something you're making up completely. Define your goal, achieve self. This is extremely important, probably the most important. Write a clear description of the person you are becoming and the life you genuinely want. Make it specific enough that it can guide your decisions. Do not BS this. Write down what you truly want. Don't take into consideration what is deemed successful by society. What car do you want to drive? If it's something normal, fine. Where do you want to live? How do you want to dress? Design everything. Do you want to go on vacation? How often? Where do you want to go? Change the measuring stick. Replace how far am I from them with am I closing the gap between who I am today and who I've decided to be. Catch inferiority in real time. This is a game changer. When you feel inferior, recognize that feeling as a conclusion, not evidence of your potential at all. It has nothing to do with your potential. The mere fact that you can recognize it is going to take you a long way to overcoming inferiority. And redirect your attention toward the next action that moves you forward. You are not trying to become better than someone else. You are trying to fully step into your own potential. Learn from other people, admire them, study their paths, but do not use their lives as evidence of what you are not capable of becoming. If you enjoyed this training, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you at the next one.